Oftentimes, when I shop for wine, I wonder what makes one wine more expensive than the other one. And it's specifically so interesting to me when I'm looking at the same vintage, when I am looking at the same region of where the wine was produced, but the price is so strikingly different. So in today's episode, we will talk about the differences between the cheap and expensive wines and what actually determines the cost of the wine. Welcome to my wine diary, and if you're new to this channel, guys, please make sure to subscribe at the end of this video, and if you are my returning subscriber, then thank you for being here. First and foremost is quality of grapes and production. Expensive wines a lot of times use grapes from specific regions and specific vineyards that specialize in producing high quality wines. These grapes are carefully selected, harvested by hand, ensuring optimal ripeness of them. Expensive wines also tend to undergo meticulous production processes, including aging in oak barrels, for instance, that can enhance the flavor and the complexity of the wine. And in contrast, cheaper wines may use grapes from multiple sources, including less prestigious regions, and sometimes they use methods of mass production too. The next one is aging potential. Expensive wines are often made to age really well over time, allowing the flavors and the aromas to develop and mature with time. So they're typically made with high quality grapes and undergo longer aging processes, which can result in greater complexity and also the depth of the wine. Whereas the cheaper wines are not really they're not really meant to age really well, or sometimes those grapes just don't have the capabilities for that long time period aging specifically, which makes them cheaper in price just by default. The next is taste and complexity, where expensive wines often exhibit the qualities of more nuanced and more complex flavor profile. They definitely can exhibit more aromas, more textures, that sophistication in them, right? Whereas the cheaper wines are very straightforward, they're not complex, and a lot of times just the flavors and the aromas are quite limited. Next is terroir and appellation. And this is the concept that really should be understood pretty deeply. And expensive wines definitely highlight the concept of terroir, which refers to unique characteristics of a specific vineyard, soil specifically, soil and climate, and other environmental factors that influence the wine's taste. And some expensive wines may carry an appellation indicating they come from a recognized and very prestigious wine producing region, which kind of further emphasizes their quality and reputation. And our cheaper wines, they do not emphasize that whatsoever, or maybe they just don't have anything to offer when it comes to terroir and appellation specifically. That reflects on the price greatly. The last but certainly not least is brand and reputation. And this one I feel like has become a little bit bittersweet in the winemaking world, because a lot of wines now have some level of celebrities involved in either making them or producing them or just sponsoring them, right? So you sometimes see celebrities' faces on wine bottles, or you see the names of celebrities, or you hear that celebrities buy vineyards even. So that, of course, will drive the price up. But when it comes to the true brand and recognition, here expensive wines are often associated with renowned wineries or winemakers, for instance, who established a reputation for producing exceptional wines. So these brands often have a long history and expertise, definitely consistent on the quality standards that they offer as well. Cheaper wines, they just don't have that. As simple as that, right? They haven't established any of it. It's a much simpler process. Winemakers a lot of times are newer to the industry. They're experimenting a lot. So brand and recognition, I feel like, as well as experience perhaps, is a factor that truly affects the cost of the wine. And this is where you see a huge difference between the cheap and expensive wines too. To summarize, please remember that wine preferences are very subjective and they're very individual to everyone. So just because a wine is expensive doesn't mean that everyone is going to love it or have a very enjoyable experience with it. So it's very important to note that your individual experience and preference plays a huge role, regardless of the cost of that wine. So please experiment, try wines from different price categories and see what is it that you actually like about a specific type of wine, and maybe jot a couple of things down and track it and see maybe there is a common thread there, right, that makes you like some wines but not the other ones, and it's not always going to be price driven at all. And this is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're new to my channel and you like wine, you're at the right place, so please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're my returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Please let me know in the comments down below, what is your stance on cheap versus expensive wines? Which ones do you prefer, and what is your typical price range when you shop for your wines? For me, it is probably around $20 a bottle, I would say, is my sweet spot. I try not to go too much below or too much higher, depending on the occasion, of course, that I'm shopping for that wine for. But curious to know what you've got to say. And guys, again, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, cheers everyone.